Alright, what's up friends? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're learning Daf Samach Vav of Masechta Shabbis, Daf 66. Fun page. Start with a new Mishnah. We're going to talk about people who are missing either one or both of their legs, and they either have wooden legs or other things that they use to help them move around. And then on the Amud Beis, on the second part, we're going to get to a new Mishnah on Samach Vav Amud Beis, and then we'll talk about all sorts of interesting esoteric agadatas. So I hope you're in the mood for interesting and esoteric, or if you will be in the mood in about 20 minutes, that also works. So here we go. All the way at the bottom of Daf Samach Amud Beis, new Mishnah. Hakitea. I didn't look up to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Kitea. That sounds right. Kitea. Oh gosh. I hope it's right. Hakitea yotze b'kav shelo. Di Reb Meir Reb Yossi Oser. So a kitea, somebody who is missing one leg, so he is permitted to go out if he has like some kind of wooden leg that he uses to go out with. So he would be allowed to go out with it on Shabbos according to Rabbi Meir. As Rashi says, yotze b'kav shelo diminol didehu, because it's his shoe. And Rabbi Yossi also, whereas Rabbi Yossi says he cannot go out with this wooden leg, and says Rashi, dilav tachshidu, because it is not a tachshid, it is not an adornment, therefore he cannot go out with it. V'im yeshlo beis kibul ksisin tameh. If this wooden leg at the top, where he connects it to the part of his leg that still remains, so if at the top of this wooden leg there is a receptacle that he's able to put like some fabrics in there, some cushions in there, so it would render the wooden leg mukhsher lekabel tuma, because it's right. Remember, pshute clay eitz, right? Just simple wooden things are not makabel tuma, but if they have a receptacle, then they are makabel tuma. So if there is a receptacle at the top of this wooden leg, and you would be able to put in different kind of soft fabrics in there, then it would be mukhsher lekabel tuma. Smuchos shelo tmein midras v'yotzin boen b'Shabbos v'nichnasin boen ba'azara. If this person is missing both of his legs, okay, and he has some kind of pads or something that he puts on the bottom of the parts of the leg that remain, so that he can and he leans on those, and that's what he uses to get around, right, and to walk on, and he puts his body weight on it. So in that case, so the tummy tumas midras, because right, as we learned the other day, when it comes to tumas midras is let's say a zav. So a zav, anything he sits on, anything he puts his weight on. So that will be, so anything that he puts his weight on will be tamei tumas midrash, becomes an ava tuma just like him. So since these smuchos, what does he say? This, I think it's like leather. Rashi says, smuchos shel kitea, yesh kitea b'shtei raglav mahalich al shokav v'al arkuvosav v'ose smuchos shel or l'shokav. B'diuk. He makes these supports made out of leather, and that's what he puts his body weight on. So therefore it's mikabel, it's tumas midras, because we won't say amod v'na'asem lachtenu, right? Get up because we need to use these leather things. No, you don't need to use these leather things. These are, meant for him putting his body weight on and getting around with. Ve'notzim b'en b'Shabbos, and he's not allowed to go out with them. No, I skipped. V'yotzim b'en b'Shabbos, and he's allowed to go out with them on Shabbos. V'nichnasim b'en b'azar, and at the same time, he is allowed to go into the azar. He's allowed to go into the base. I mean, even though in the base, as we learned in Masechta Brachos, that you don't go into the Beis Hamikdash wearing shoes. However, he would be allowed to go into the Beis Hamikdash with these samuchos, because they aren't considered shoes. Meaning, sure, he uses them to move around, but they're not shoes per se. Kisei v'smuchos shelo. Let's say he has some kind of contraption where he's got some kind of a seat, and then he still has these same smuchos on his legs. And then what he does is, so he's like has this small little seat, and he's got these leather things that he uses on his feet, but he doesn't want to necessarily his preferred way of moving around is that he, to move himself, he kind of uses his hands and pulls himself forward that way. And then he's got this seat that's attached to him behind him, and he's also, nonetheless, has these smuchos on his legs. Okay? So Tumei and Midras, so still these leather attachments to his legs, these leather things that are attached to the bottom of his legs, would still be Tamei Tumas Midras. Okay. Ve'en yotzin b'ayim b'Shabbos, and you do not go out with them on Shabbos, because they might, as Rashi says, that they might fall off. Ve'nichnasim b'ayim b'Azara, and you would not be allowed to go with them into the Azara. Okay? I don't know why the regular samuchos you would be allowed to go into the Azara, but when he's got his chair, then you would not be allowed to go into the Azara. I'm not sure. Lukatmin, Tohorin, Ve'en yotzin b'ayim b'Shabbos, the Gemara is going to explain what these Lukatmin are, but they are Tohorin, and we don't go out with them on Shabbos. Okay? Amalei Rav of Nachman, Heichi Tanan. So Rav asked of Nachman. So now it's interesting, I mentioned, I think, I don't know, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, I mentioned that I always had a tricky time understanding where exactly Rav Nachman fit in terms of Amoraim. Was he later? Was he earlier? We had a Gemara that said that Rav Nachman was a student of Rav and Shmuel, which basically puts him second generation like Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. Now, I was never sure, and this is exactly why I was never sure. Because you have Rava communicating with Rav Nachman, right? Amalei Rava le Rav Nachman. So I never got it. I always thought maybe Rav Nachman was like third generation, why was Rava interacting with Rav Nachman? So sometimes it feels like Rav Nachman's earlier, sometimes it feels like he's later, because Rava was fourth generation. And so actually, again, I looked at Janine's chart that she provided. And so Rava actually was a student of Rav Nachman, and it's Keilu they skipped a generation. So Rav Nachman was second generation Amora, student of Rav and Shmuel. And yet, Rava was still a student of his. Rava, who was fourth generation Amora, was a student of, of Rabba, but also of Rav Nachman. So just interesting kind of stuff. Amalei Rava le Rav Nachman. So Rava said to Rav Nachman, Heichi Tanan. So we learned in our Mishnah, Hakitea Yotze B'kav Shelo Divrei Meir Rabbi Yossi Oser. That a Kitea, somebody who's missing one leg, he can go out with his wooden leg. According to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi says it's not allowed. Apparently, it's not so simple that our version of the Mishnah is accurate. Apparently, there were others who learned the Mishnah the opposite, that Ein Hakitea Yotze B'kav Shelo Di Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yossi Matir. The Rabbi Meir says that a Kitea may not go out with a wooden leg, and Rabbi Yossi is the one who says that you may. So now Rava is asking this question to Rav Nachman. Heichi Tanan. So what's the proper girsa for our Mishnah? Amalei lo yadaina. He says, I don't know. Hilchsamai Amalei lo yadaina. Rava asked Rav Nachman, what about the halacha? What's the halacha? Can a kitea, somebody who's missing one leg, can he go out with a wooden leg? He says, I don't know. Itmar was stated, Amar Shmuel ein hakitea v'chein Amar Rav Huna ein hakitea. So it was stated that Shmuel has the girsa of ein hakitea, the opposite of our girsa in our Mishnah. And Rav Huna also said ein hakitea, which is the opposite of our Mishnah. Amar Rav Yosef, Hov Amar Shmuel ein hakitea, v'Amar Rav Huna ein hakitea, ananami nisne ein hakitea. So said Rav Yosef, well, since we're in good company here, since Shmuel says ein hakitea, and Rav Huna understands this Mishnah as being ein hakitea, well, guess what? We'll also say ein hakitea. That does seem to be the correct girsa, unlike what we actually have in our Mishnah, which is hakitea yotze b'kav shelo di Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yossi Oser. Maskifla Rava Bar Shira. However, Rava Bar Shira asks a question, and he says, Lo Shmielu, did you not hear the following statement, or the following episode really? Hademasni le Rav Chanan bar Rava lechia bar Rav kame de Rav. That Rav Chanan bar Rava taught Chia bar Rav in front of Rav. So Rav was there. So basically there was a discussion between Rav Chanan bar Rava and Chia bar Rav, and this discussion was taking place in front of Rav himself. Bikituna devei Rav, and it was in this small room attached to the Beis HaMedrash of Rav. And what were they discussing? Eina kitea yotze b'kav shelo divrei Rabbi Meir Rabbi Yossi Matir. And Rav Chanan bar Rava said to Chia bar Rav, he said, he was saying the Mishnah that Ein Hakitea Yotze B'Kav Shel Divrei Rab Meir Rab Yossi Matir, that somebody who's missing one leg may not go out with a wooden leg according to Rabbi Meir, whereas Rabbi Yossi says it's permitted, which is the opposite of the Girsa in our Mishnah. Umachvele Rav Ipoch, and Rav pointed out to them that it should be flipped around, that the accurate Girsa is the opposite, which is actually like our Mishnah, right? Hakitea Yotze B'Kav Shel Divrei Rab Meir. The Rab Meir's opinion is that somebody who's missing one leg would be allowed to go out with a wooden leg, and Rabbi Yossi says he would not. No. So we just had Shmuel and Rav Huna saying that the Girsa in our Mishnah is Ein Hakitea. Rav Yosef then said, well, if Shmuel and Rav Huna hold that way, that must make sense. So that must be the Girsa. But then we said, wait a second, but Rav specifically said that the Girsa is like our Mishnah, which is Hakitea Yotze. So Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak v'Simona Samech Samech. Okay, and Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says that if you want to remember the order of our Mishnah, at least according to Rav, so remember, Rabbi Yossi Oser, Yossi and Oser both have a Samech. So if you want to remember, is it Rabbi Yossi the one who says Mutter and Rav Meir says Aser? Or is Rav Meir the one who says Aser and Rabbi Yossi says, no, is Rav Yossi, or is Rav Meir the one who says Mutter and Rabbi Yossi says Aser? Well, remember that it's Rabbi Yossi who says Aser because Yossi and Aser both have a Samech. Okay? What's Rabbi Yossi's opinion? Who could tell me? Vav Shmuel Hadarbe. Oh, so now the Mishnah, the Gemara continues and says, you know what? Even Shmuel, who said Ein Hakitea, the opposite of our Girsa, he actually was Hadar. He went back on that opinion and actually in the end was in line with our Mishnah. Ditnan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Cholza b'sandal she'eno shelo. Okay, Chalitza. Who can tell me what Chalitza is? Everyone here knows what Chalitza is by now, right? Chalitza is by Yibum. When you have a man and a woman, they are married and they don't have any children, the man dies, so then the widow marries the man's brother. That is what Yibum is. Now, if they don't want to do Yibum, then they can annul this requirement by doing Chalitza, which is that she removes the shoe from the brother-in-law and spits next to it. Okay? So if the shoe that they were doing Chalitza with did not belong to the brother-in-law, he borrowed the shoe, B'sandal shel eitz, or what if the shoe was made out of wood? O shel small biyamin, or what if he was wearing his left shoe on his right foot, right? She's got to take off the shoe from the right foot. But what if he was wearing what if he was wearing a left shoe on his right foot? What if he had two left feet? I don't know, we're not talking about that. But if he has his left shoe on his right foot, Chalitza Kshera, and we say the Chalitza works. No. So we see that this wooden shoe is considered a shoe, and you would be allowed to go out with it on Shabbos, meaning if we were talking about Hilchos Shabbos. V'amrina and Mantana, and we're saying, who would be this Tana? Who would be the one who says that this wooden shoe would be considered a shoe and would be allowed for Chalitza? Amar Shmuel Rab Meir, he says Shmuel, that the author of this Mishnah by Chalitza that says that a wooden shoe is a shoe is Shmuel. No, so Shmuel says that it's Rabbi Meir. Titnan, as we learn in our Mishnah, Hakitea Yotze B'Kav Shelo Divrei Rabbi Meir. That Rabbi Meir says that somebody who's missing one leg can go out with his wooden leg, and that's Rabbi Meir's opinion, exactly the same way that our Mishnah says it, because the wooden leg would be considered a shoe. Here also, this wooden shoe would be considered a shoe regarding Chalitza, Rabbi Yossi Oser, whereas Rabbi Yossi says that he may not go out with this wooden leg on Shabbos. Rav Huna Hadarbe. And even Rav Huna, who initially we had said held that the Girsa in our Mishnah was the opposite, Ein Hakitea. So even Rav Huna flipped it around to be in line with our Mishnah that Hakitea Yotze B'Kav Shelo. Okay? The Tanya is learning a brisa, sandal shel sayadin. Okay? A shoe that was worn by plasterers. Okay? Basically, plasterers were working with limestone, hot lime, I guess, in furnaces and stuff. And it would be, the lime would not mix well with their leather shoes. It would ruin their leather shoes. So they would put on these sort of shoe coverings made out of straw. Okay? And Rashi points out that, well, what we're going to see, basically there's a question of, can we consider straw to be like wood? Okay? So, sandal shel sayadin, tamei midras. So we're saying that these sort of shoe coverings made out of straw that these plasterers would wear, so they are tamei midras. Okay? Meaning if if the plasterer is a zav, and he is wearing these shoes, so the shoes will become tamei, an avatuma. Visha choletzes bo. Okay? And a woman can even do chalitza when the shoe that she's using for chalitza is this sandal shel sayadin. V'yotzin bo b'Shabbos. And you can also go out with it on Shabbos. Div Rabbi Akiva. Okay? That's according to Rabbi Akiva. And we're assuming that according to Rabbi Akiva, straw is considered like wood. And therefore, basically anything that would apply to these shoes of these plasterers would be equally true to wooden shoes, okay? And we're saying v'yotzin bo'en b'Shabbos, that you're allowed to go out with it on Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Akiva, v'lo hodulo, but nobody agreed with Rabbi Akiva. V'atanyu hodulo, but one second, don't we have another brayso that says that they did agree with Rabbi Akiva? So Amar Rav Huna, man hodulo Rabbi Meir, man lo hodulo Rabbi Yossi. Who agreed with Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Meir. Rav Huna is saying that Rabbi Meir agreed with Rabbi Akiva because our Mishnah says that Rabbi Meir would say that somebody who's missing a leg is allowed to go out to Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos with his wooden leg. So he would agree with Rabbi Akiva, who says that you would be allowed to go out with these with these straw plasterer shoes, which are the equivalent of wood. Whereas Rabbi Yossi would say that you would not, because he says that you would not be allowed to go out with a wooden leg on Shabbos. Amar Rav Yosef, man lo hodulo Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. So Rabbi Yosef disagrees with Rav Huna's understanding that the ones who agreed with Rabbi Akiva was Rabbi Meir, and who didn't agree with Rabbi Akiva was Rabbi Yossi. Rather, he says, who's the one that didn't agree with Rabbi Akiva? It was Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, the Tanan, as we learn in the Mishnah. Kaveres shel kash, if you have a receptacle made out of straw, okay, v'shvofer shel kanim, some kind of tube made out of reeds. Rabbi Akiva matame, so Rabbi Akiva says it's tame because it's like wood. He basically says that straw is the same thing as wood, and therefore it's able to be makabel tumah. Okay, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri mitayr. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says it's tahor, because we don't consider the straw to be wood, and that's why it is not going to be makabel tumah. And therefore, since we don't compare this straw to wood, that is why these sandal shel sayadin you would not be allowed to go out with on Shabbos, because they wouldn't be considered shoes. Implying that if, it sounds like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri though would agree that if they were like wood, then you would be able to go out with it, I guess, like, I don't know, like Rabbi Meir, and like, yeah. Okay, fine. Amar Mar, we said earlier, sandal shel sayadin tamei midras. So we said earlier that at least according to Rabbi Akiva, a sandal that is for these plasterers that they would put over their shoes so that they wouldn't get ruined. So tamei midras. So if you step on them, so then, you know, right, if he's a zav and he puts his weight on these shoes, so they will become tamei midras. Halav lilucha avde, but 1 second, but these shoes aren't made for walking in. They're just made for covering up your shoes so that they don't get ruined by the plaster. You don't actually walk in them. So Amar Rav Acha bar Rav Ula shekain asaid mitayel bo ad shemagia leveso. So it says Rav Acha bar Rav Ula that, well, that's not necessarily true. A plasterer will wear these shoes until he gets home, and therefore it's considered like he does walk in them. V'im yesh lo beis kibul ksisin tamei. So we said in our Mishnah that if this wooden leg has a receptacle at the top of it, that you would be able to put in these like soft fabrics in there, so then it is able to be makabel tumah because it's no longer shutei klei eitz, right? It's a klei eitz with a receptacle, so it's makabel tumah. Amar Abaye hot gezak, tamei tumas meis ve'en tamei midras. So it says Abaye that this wooden leg that has a receptacle would be able to become tamei tumas meis, okay? that if a dead body touches it, it will become tameh. And Rashi points out that really this is equally true for any tumas maga, any tuma that would get on it by touching it, or let's say a sheretz or something like that. But, says Abai, it would not be makabel tumas midras. Okay? Because according to Abaye, this is not really something that you're meant to lean on. Maybe every so often he leans on it, but it's not really something that's meant for leaning on, such as like a couch or something like that. So therefore, he says it wouldn't be matami tumas midras. According to Abaye, it's more for noi. It's more for he doesn't want to. He would prefer to have a wooden leg than to have no leg at all for appearance reasons. So that is the point. It's a tachshit according to Abaye, but it's not really meant for leaning on, and therefore it would not be makabel tumas midras. Rava Amar af tami midras. Rava says even this wooden leg would be makabel tumas midras. Amar Rava mena aminala. Rava says, and how do I know that this wooden leg will be makabel tumas midras, assuming that there's a receptacle? D'tanan agala shalkain tmei midras, because we have a Mishnah that says that if you have a carriage for a kid. Now this carriage apparently had two purposes. One was for the kid to play with. Maybe it was like a doll carriage or something. I don't know, but it was like a little carriage for kids to play with. But at the same time, sometimes they would sit in it. And therefore, we have this thing that sort of has a dual purpose, unlike a couch, let's say, which is only for sitting on. Here's this thing that kind of has, sometimes you play with it, sometimes you sit on it, and yet we're saying that it's still makabel tumas midras. So Rava wants to argue that therefore this wooden leg, even though he's not necessarily always going to lean on it, it's not meant to put all of his weight on it. He still has another leg. I don't know, he moves around. It's not meant for walking. It's more meant for a tachshit. But you do sometimes put your weight on it. Therefore, Rava wants to argue that it would be makabel tumas midras, just like this children's carriage. Abaye says, yeah, but it's different because when it comes to the baby's carriage, it really is meant also for sitting in. Meaning, there's like two purposes there. It's not only for sitting in, but it is also for sitting in, and that is why it will be makabel tumas midras. Whereas according to Abaye, he says this wooden leg really is not for putting your weight on. It really isn't. It's really as a tachshit, and therefore it would not be makabel tumas midras. Amar Abaye mena aminala, and Abaye says, and why do I say what I'm saying? That that by this wooden leg it will not be makabel tumas midras. D'tanya, we're learning a brisa, makol shel zakenim tar miklum. That we have a brisa that says that a like staff, a wooden stick that older people walk around with, and not to lean on, not to put all their weight on, but just so that they can walk straight. Maybe their legs might sometimes get a little weak, whatever it is. But it's not really for them to mamish sit on or put all their weight on it. It's more just to help them walk. And we're saying that it's not makabel any kind of tumah, right? Because it's not makabel tumas maga because it's pshute klei, it's just a stick, doesn't have a receptacle, and it's not matame midras because you're not going to put all your weight on it. So Abaye wants to compare that to this wooden leg, which also you're really not meant to put all your weight on it. Maybe every so often you do, but it's more similar to this staff, this walking stick that would not be makabel any tumah. Virava, Rava responds, the tarutze sugya avida, that but when it comes to the staff, it really isn't meant at all for putting your weight on. It's really meant to just straighten out your steps. Whereas Rava's opinion is that this wooden leg really is also made for leaning on, and he leans on it, therefore would be makabel tumas midras. It looks like, Rava and Abaye really just have a difference of perspective, meaning they're really arguing kind of apples and oranges, I think. According to Rava, the wooden leg is also for leaning on, and therefore it would be more similar to this carriage, and that's why it's makabel tumas midras according to him. Abaye says it really isn't for leaning on, it's more similar to a walking stick, and therefore it would not be makabel tumas midras. And so I don't think that there's any way to really win that argument, because it's more like Rava says, I think it's more for leaning. Abai says, I think it's not more for leaning, and that's that. Fine. We say that this, if he has this like chair, that if you have somebody who's missing both legs, and he has this chair, and he is able to sort of push himself to propel himself using his arms, and then he has this thing that he's sitting on, and that's how he moves around. So Tamei and Midras, so we said that they are Tamei Midras, fine. Ve'inosim ben b'Shabbos, we don't go out with them on Shabbos. Ve'nichnasim ben Lazar, we don't bring them into the Beis Hamikdash. Tani Tana Kami de Rabbi Yochanan. So there was a teacher who taught in front of Rabbi Yochanan, Nichnasim ben Lazar, that you would be allowed to go out with this kisei and samuchin. You would be allowed to go to the Beis Hamikdash. So Amalei Anishone Isha Choletzes Bo Ve'at Amart Nichnasin. I say that a woman is allowed to do chalitza with these things, and you say that, which means that they're a shoe, and you're saying that you can go with them to the Azara. Tani ein nichnasim ben Azara. No, rather, what you should really teach is that you may not go into the Azara with them. Okay. Lukatmin Tahora, that these Lukatmin, they are Tahora, and you may not go out with them on Shabbos. My Lukatmin, the Gemara wants to know, what are Lukatmin? Rabbi Abahu Chamara de Akfa. Okay, Rabbi Abahu says it's some kind of wooden donkey that people would like put on their shoulders, and it would look like the donkey is riding him. I think it was supposed to be some kind of funny thing for the kids. I wonder if it's only funny the first time. No, probably not. Probably not. It's probably like a toy kind of thing. Okay, Rafram by Papa Amar Shire. So Rafram by Papa, it is these kinds of stilts. Okay. Stilts. Rava bar Ravuna Amar Parme. Rava bar Ravuna says it's epis mask. Okay. New Mishnah. Habanim yotzin biksharim. Okay. These boys are able to go out with ksharim. The Gemara is going to talk about what these ksharim are. Uvnei melachim, and the children of kings bezugin, they can go out with fancy little bells. Okay. Now anybody can really go out with these fancy little bells. But we mentioned the Bnei Melachim because I guess it was more common for them to go out with fancy little bells than for their non-royal counterparts. My ksharim, what are these ksharim? What are these knots? Amar Adamari, says Adamari, Amar of Nachman bar Baruch, Amar of Ashi bar Oven, Amar of Yehuda, Kishure Pua. Okay, it was some kind of plant, root, herb that they would put into these knots, and they would wear it like around their neck. And if they were sick with some kind of epis disease, Rashi points out he doesn't know what disease this thing is, but some kind of epis disease, this ksharim would assist with that. Amar Abaye, Amar li Aim. Abaye says that my mother said to me. Now Abaye was an orphan. He grew up in Rabba's house. Okay, Abaye was an orphan. So sometimes the Gemara references this Amr li Aim that his mother said to him. It's like his like nurse, I think, or the woman who raised him said to him. Tilsa mukme, if you were to have 3 of these knots on the around your neck, so that would just kind of keep the illness at bay. It wouldn't get better, it wouldn't get worse. Chamisha masu, if you have 5 of these knots, it would taka heal you. Shiva afilu lichshafim maile. Wow. If you have 7 of these knots, it's even good for spells. For, if somebody put up a spell on you, if you have 7 of these knots, don't worry about it. Amr of Acha bar Yankiv, v'hudilo chazi le shimsha v'siara. So Acha bar Yaakov qualifies that it's not as simple as that. So it starts with these fancy knots. You put them around your neck. That doesn't mean it's going to work. In order for it to work, you can't see any sun, you can't see any moon. Okay, so I guess maybe like just stay in like a room without windows or something. Okay. V'lochazi mitra, okay, also don't see any rain. Okay, so room with no windows. So let's try this. Okay, so you're sitting in a room, no windows. So you won't see any sun, you won't see any moon, you won't see any rain. Okay. V'loshmiele kol barzela. Okay, and you can't hear any of the sound of the clanking of iron. So maybe also make it a soundproof room. Okay. Vikal tarnagolta. Okay, you also don't want to hear the voice of a hen. V'kal nigare, and also the sounds of anybody walking. All right, so I guess if you kind of just put on these knots and go into like a room without windows, a soundproof room without windows, maybe like a recording studio or something, I guess you'll get better. Okay. I'm Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Nafal Pusa Bevira. So as far as Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak is concerned, this solution has basically fell in a pit. It's basically too far out of reach. As far as he's concerned, it's too difficult to not see the sun, not see the moon, not see rain, not hear anything. But I don't know. Maybe now we have better sort of materials for blocking out noises and stuff. My ear Yabanim. So the Gemara wants to know, but if that's the case, that it's literally just some kind of knot that you tied around your neck, so why does it say specifically banim can go out with these things? Afilu banos nami. Girls can also go out with these things, right? It's just like basically to heal you. So my ear yaktanim afilu gdolim nami. And how come we're specifically saying like banim, which implies ketanim, even adults should be able to go out with these things? So elamai ksharim. So rather what's ksharim? Ki ada amar avin bar huna amar Rav Chama bar Guria. So it's like Rav Avin bar Huna says in the name of Rav Chama bar Guria, and now we're going to have a lot of statements now from Rav Avin bar Huna, Rav Chama bar Guria. Ben sheyesh lo gaiguin al aviv. If you have a child who really, really misses his father, noto ritzuam minol shel yamin. So he takes a strap from a right shoe, b'koshelo b'smolo, and he ties it on his left arm. And that is how he sort of tries to minimize this great longing that he has for his father. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak v'simanach tefillin. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, and if you want to remember, what this thing is, it's like tefillin that you take, use your right hand and you tie it on your left arm. So also this is like your right shoelace that you tie on your left arm. Chilufa sakanta. However, be careful, because if you do it the other way, if you take, a left shoestring and put it on your right arm, then it can make your longing for your father much worse. So just make sure to put it on the right arm. Okay, now you may be asking still, what's the difference between boys and girls over here? So Rashi points out that men, at least back then, tended to have a better relationship, a closer relationship with their sons than they did with their daughters. So therefore, it was more likely for a son to have a great longing for his father than for a daughter too. Okay, but maybe if she did have a great longing for her father, she would be allowed to as well. Or maybe it's not regular back then. I don't know. V'amar Avin bar Huna Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. Okay, so now another thing that Avin bar Huna said in the name of Chama bar Guria, Schufe Kasa Atibore B'Shabata Shaper Dami. Okay, if you have a cup, and the cup was filled with hot water, you pour out the hot water from the cup, and now you're left with just a hot cup that has like steam in it. Okay, now you have a bellyache, so you could take this hot steamy cup, flip it over, put it on your belly, and that will somehow move around your intestines in such a way that it will solve your digestive woes. You're allowed to do that. Or maybe just if you're bored. I don't know. V'amar Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria, muter lasuch shemen v'melech b'Shabbos. You're allowed to pour oil and salt on your hands on Shabbos, which is interesting, because what does that mean about like lotion and stuff? I thought like you can't like use lotion for your hands and stuff on Shabbos. Maybe does this mean that you might be allowed to? I don't know. We'd have to look into that. I feel like I used to think it wasn't allowed. Then at one point I thought it was allowed. Now I think it's not allowed. But now I'm starting to think maybe it is allowed. I don't know. I have to look it up. Kiyad Rav Huna. Yo, check this out. This is funny. Like Rav Huna mibei Rav, when he would come back from the base measures of Rav, or from the house of Rav, right? Rav was Rav Huna's teacher. Rav mibei Rav Chia, when Rav would come back from Rav Chia's house, Rav Chia was Rav's uncle and also his teacher, I guess. Rav Chia mibei Rebbe, and when Rav Chia would come back from the house of Rebbe, because Rebbe was Rav Chia's teacher, Kiav mivasme, and they were drunk. Maisi mishcha umilcha v'shayfilu ligavyasa diadayud v'gavyasa dicharayu. So they would bring oil and salt and they would rub it in their hands, in the palms of their hands and the soles of their feet. Okay? Ve'amr, and they said, K'echi detzil amishcha, and just like this, oil will become clear on our skin. Leitzil chamed deflanya bar planyusa may also the wine of so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, his mother, may his wine kind of go down and he will be less drunk. V'lo, and if this doesn't work, or if you don't have oil and salt, maisi shia dedana, take the seal of a barrel, like a clay seal of a barrel, v'shari le b'maya, soak it in water, v'amar, and say, ke'echi de leitzil haishia, leitzil chamer de flanya bar planyasa. Just like this clay seal of this barrel is kind of weakening and breaking apart, so too shall the drunkenness of this individual chill out. V'amar Avin bar Huna, amar Rav Chama bar Guria, muter lechenek b'Shabbos. Okay, so you're allowed to, like if you like dislocated something in your neck, sounds pretty uncomfortable. I hope that it doesn't happen to any of us. But you can like take some kind of cloth and then wrap up your neck in such a way that it'll like keep things straight and tight. And that's what's referring to like strangling yourself, so to speak. It's allowed to do that on Shabbos. You're allowed to, I think the word is swaddle a baby. If a baby is just born and its limbs are like kind of, I don't know, not so, I don't know, we want to like set them in their proper place and stuff. So you can like swaddle a baby, wrap up the baby. That's okay. Rav Papa Masni Banim, Rav Zvid Masni Ben. So Rav Papa teaches Banim. And what this means is, according to him, Rabbi Avin bar Huna, in the name of Cham bar Guria, he said both of these things about children. We said two things about children. One of them is that the children are allowed to go out with it was about tying that thing on their left arm because they long for their fathers, and also this thing about swaddling a child. So both of those were said by Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. Whereas Rav Zvid Masni Ben, i.e. only one of these two things pertaining to children were from Avin bar Huna, Amar Rav Chama bar Guria. The other one was, so one second, so Rav Papa Masni Banim Vitarvayu, fine, Masni Luba Avin bar Huna, Rav Zvid Masni Ben Kamaisa Masni Ba'avin bar Huna V'hai Masni La Barabba bar Chana. So according to Rav Papa, who says that both of these things about the children were Avin bar Huna, so he says both of them are him. Whereas Rav Zvid, who says only one of them was taught by Avin bar Huna, so he says the first one about the child longing for the father, so he wraps stuff on his left hand, so that is Avin bar Huna, and this one about swaddling the child is Rabba bar Chana, the Rabba bar Chana, Lepufe Yenuka b'Shabbat Shapridami, you're allowed to swaddle a child, a baby on Shabbos. Amar Abaye, Amar Li'em. Abaye says that his mother told him, Kol minyane b'shma de'ima. So whenever you have incantations, so if you need to know the person for whom the incantation is being applied to, so you want his name and his mother's name. We also do this when praying for people's health, right? So we take their name and their mother's name. And whenever you have these like knots that you tie for like healing purposes, so you do that on the person's left side. Abaye says that his mother told him, now these incantations, if it says in the incantation how many times you should repeat it, so then just do what the instructions are. But if there are no instructions for how many times to repeat it, well then do it 41 times. What's 41? Mem Aleph. I don't know. What's 41? Anybody know what 41 is? I don't know. Taner Rabbanan, Yotzim be'even tkuma b'Shabbos, okay? You can go out with an Evan Tekuma on Shabbos. An Evan Tekuma was like basically some kind of stone that women who were pregnant would carry around with them, and somehow carrying around this stone would help them avoid a miscarriage. Mishum Rav Meir Amru Af b'Mishkal Evan Tekuma. And Rav Meir says not only can you go out with this Evan Tekuma, but even like something that has the same weight as an Evan Tekuma that they use to weigh and determine the weight of an Evan Tekuma. Okay. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be that this woman has already had a history of miscarriages. No, even if she doesn't. And she doesn't even have to be pregnant. Meaning, but maybe if she will become pregnant and then she might have a miscarriage, she can go out with this Evan Tekuma. Okay. Rav Yema bar Shlamya, Mishmei da Abaye, Vu de Ichvun ve'iskal. Now it says Rav Yema bar Shlamya, the name of Abaye, that you can only go out with this thing that has the same weight as this Eben Tkuma if it like always had the same weight, but not that if you had to like add to it to make it the same weight, i.e. it was initially too light, or if you had to cut away from it to make it the same weight, i.e. it was initially too heavy, then you wouldn't be able to go out with it. It would have to be like a perfect weight equal to the Eben Tkuma. By Abaye asked Mishkal the Mishkal Mai Teku. Abaye wants to know, what if you have some weight that was the same exact weight of the thing that had the same exact weight of the Eben Tkuma? Can you go out with that? And the Gemara says, I don't know. What are you hacking a chinik? V'amar Abaye, Amar li'em. Abaye said that my mother told me, le eshta bas yoma. Okay, what do you do to? I guess Abaye's mother like knew all these remedies. Well, if you say she was like a nurse, then maybe I guess that's what she did. But all right, well, friends, here you go. Remedy for a fever that seems to be coming back every day. Lishkol zuza chivara. So you take a freshly minted coin. V'lezo lemilchasa, and then you go out to where they make salt. Okay. V'liskol maskale milcha, and then you take the equivalent weight of the coin. You take that amount of salt. With it tzayir b'chalala deveit savar benira barka, and then you take it and you somehow make like some kind of a necklace with one hair. Take a hair and then you kind of like put this salt on the hair and then you like wrap it around your neck. That's what you do. Ve'ilo, and if that doesn't work out for you, leisav a parshas drachim. So then what you got to do is you got to go sit by a crossroads. Okay. V'chi chazi sumsumana gamala, and then if you see like a really big ant, the dari midi, and it's carrying epis. Lishkele, so take that ant that is carrying something, and put it into some kind of copper container. Vilistime be'evra, and then close it with lead. Vilichtme b'shitin gushpanke, and then seal it with 60 seals. Ulevarzule, and then what you want to do is you want to shake it. Vilidre, and you want to raise it up. Vilemale, and then you say to this copper receptacle that has an ant in it. I think maybe also whatever crumb the ant was carrying. Tu'unach alai utunayalach, and you say, let's make a deal. I'll take your little crumb and you take my fever. Amr Ravacha bre to Rav Huna Ravashi. Now Ravacha bre to Rav Huna said to Ravashi, v'dilma inish ashkechei v'ifsek bei. But what if you're not the first person to have been putting his fever on this ant? What if somebody else already found this ant and put his fever on the ant? And now if you're saying what you have should go on to me and what I have should go on to you, well then you're basically just, nebuch taking the fever from this ant and putting it on yourself. So ela leimale tu'unayvu tu'unach halach. Rather, what you should do is you should say, no, my fever and your crumb should both be on you, and I should have nothing. Okay? V'ilo lishko kuza chadata, and if this doesn't work, so then take a new pitcher, v'lezel nahara, and go to a river, v'leimale, and say, Nahara, Nahara, river, river, Ozvan kuza demaya, lend me a pitcher of water, leorcha de'iklali, for a visitor that has visited me, i.e. this fever. U'lehader shev zimni areshe, take this pitcher, turn it, wave it around your head 7 times. V'lishadin lachore, now spill out the water behind him. V'leimale, Nahara, Nahara, shkol maya diyavasli, and then say to the river, 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 take this water that you have given me to orcha diklali biyome also viyome azo. That this guest that has visited me, it came and is gone on the same day, so I don't need this water anymore. Okay, that's what you should do. What happens if that doesn't work? I don't know. That's Daf Samach Vav Masechta Shabbos, friends. So let's do a review. We started out with going out with a wooden leg on Shabbos. So Rabbi Meir said that it's allowed. Rabbi Yossi says that it is not allowed. And there was a whole discussion on the Gemara of is that the correct girsa, or is it possible that it's actually flipped? That Rabbi Meir says it's not allowed and Rabbi Yossi says it is allowed. Initially we wanted to say that Shmuel and Rav Huna both had it flipped, right? That Ein Yotzin, or Ein Akitea. But we basically showed that both Rav Huna and Shmuel actually have our girsa, which is that a person would be allowed to go out with a wooden leg according to Reb Meir, but not according to Reb Yossi. Then we talked about if the wooden leg has a receptacle that you could put like fabrics in there, cloths in there. So Abaye says that while it will be Makabel Tuma, if you from things touching it, but not Tumas Midras. Whereas Rava says that it would also be Makabel Tumas Midras, right? I.e., if this person was a Zav and he leaned on it, so then on this limb, so then it would be an Avatuma. So now Abaye compares this leg to a walking stick that it's not really meant for leaning on, and therefore it's not Makabel Tumas Midras. Whereas Rava compares it to like this wagon of a child, which really is also made for leaning on it, and therefore it would be Makabel Tumas Midras. We talked about this Lukatman thing. We said that they're tahor and you don't go out with them on Shabbos. We had 3 opinions for what Lukatman are. One was some kind of wooden donkey that people would put on their shoulders and it would be funny. Another one was stilts, and the other explanation was masks. And then we got into a whole bunch of things that Abaye's like mother or nurse said to him about all sorts of interesting healing antidotes and stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great day.